look at this bracket. We're going to hit 6A and 7A here. This 6A bunch, the story of the year is the professor. Took a team at Sylvan Hills. I mean, 0-20 the last 2 years. Number 1 seed wins the 6A East. They've got the number 1 seed. Obviously, Greenwood has the number 1 seed. Can anybody stop Greenwood? Is there anybody out there? I mean, Shiloh's in the middle of that deal too. Benton's down in that bottom bracket also. And then they're healthy and they're coming on too. Daryl, break this 6A deal down. Yeah. I mean, nobody wants to see the professor.
Well, yeah, but the only professor has gotten beat by Marion, by the way.
They got Van Buren.
Yeah. Will probably be their second round game, I would think.
I mean, Marion goes from last week possibly a 1 seed all the way to 5. That tells you about that league. God.
Exactly. The league's crazy. So they might match up with Marion there in the second round. Shiloh Christian, you got a hot El Dorado team that's figuring some stuff out too. They don't turn it over, playing really good defense. You got Greenwood. You got Jonesboro Southside games, kind of a toss-up, really, because both of them are really good on offense. It's whichever one's defense is going to show up, even though Jonesboro will have a home game there. But Jonesboro-Greenwood would be exciting in the second. I don't know how, if Southside could hold up against Greenwood in that game. But anyway, you've got Benton down there that's waiting for Mountain Home again.
Yeah.
I mean, you got Mountain Home, Sheridan. There's no telling what's going to happen in that game, too, because Sheridan's got some weapons offensively. I don't know if they play defense. I mean, we're trying to figure that out. But if we play a little defense there, of course, they got to go to Mountain Home in that game. So, I mean, it's going to be interesting, especially the second round games are going to be interesting in that game. Like I said, I think that all the matchups are going to be, pretty tough. But, you look at your 1 and 2 seeds on both sides. You got Sylvan Hills, Shiloh kind of in a direct path towards each other. And you got Benton and Greenwood, which some people at the first of the year would have said that would have been your final. Greenwood and Benton. So, that's what happens when you drop a game in that conference. And like we said, there is no doubt in the state of, no matter what happens, if that guy doesn't get Coach of the Year from multiple people, I mean, I don't know what else you can do to get Coach of the Year. I mean, if he wins it, they're going to make a Disney movie about it. Probably make a.
I watched a little video on Sylvan Hills, and I tell you what, they're a talented team.
Yes,
I mean, very talented. They've got some great speed. Now, do I think that they'll end up beating Greenwood? No. I mean, I've watched Greenwood play. Of course, the mouth was a little more brave coming to the game instead of watching it on live stream because those stands are packed all the time. And, it's a lot more comfortable on my couch and I can watch more than one game too. So that makes it a lot more fun too. But Greenwood, I tell you, you guys have mentioned this throughout this whole year. Their offensive line is pretty dominant. And Kane does a great job. But you know what? I mean, Kane back there, he may get bored sometimes because nobody's even rushing him. And, he's always great on the move and all that other stuff. And he stands back there and kind of looks around and he finally finds somebody. But Sylvan Hills is going to be good. Like you said, Marion and Sylvan Hills in the second round, that could say something. Again, if I could pick the first and second seeded teams on this first round, I'd be great. I'd be batting 1,000, because they all have buys. Yeah. So those other games going to be a little tough. The South Side in Jonesboro, I'm in a toss up there as far as who would do well there, and then Mountain Home. I tell you what, I think Mountain Home's better than what a lot of people say they are. Last week, I think they got out of their normal game plan. They threw the ball a bunch, and they're supposed to be a running team. And playing Greenwood, of course, you play Greenwood, you're going to try to figure out something that you can do. But it's going to be interesting. But I can't help it. But Greenwood, I think, hands down favorite to be a state championship again.
Well, there's no doubt they're the class of that classification. All right, we have one top 10 game in this one. You already talked about it, Coach Cox. We got Southside, who's coming off barely beat Siloam Springs last week. They're kind of sloppy a little bit, and Siloam Springs really dominated them up front, really. And going to Jonesboro, very explosive. That league, you got to score a lot of points. Should be some points scored in this one. Got a lot of good players over. Coach George really got that program turned around. Break it down, Daryl.
Well, Southside beat Siloam Springs last week, 37-28. Really, like you said,
Yeah.
they played sloppy. They
Yeah.
turned it over a couple of times. They've played better, that's for sure, especially early on. Their offensive line's still good. Blake Forsgren, their quarterback, Wilson Key, Peyton Zimmerman. They've got some weapons there. Can they run the ball is going to be the big key because you don't want Jonesboro on the field very long because they are explosive. Jonesboro beat West Memphis last week, 56-25. That's their seventh game over 50.
That's
So
what
they
I'm
can score
saying.
points. Yeah, they can score. TJ Brown's over 1,300 yards rushing, 20 touchdowns for Jonesboro. Asa, the governor Myers, he was 134 of 252, over 2,200 yards passing, 15 touchdowns. Cameron Davis has over 800 yards receiving, 10 touchdowns. Noah Wendell is their middle linebacker. He's got over 100 tackles for Jonesboro. Like I said, you're going to have to limit the possessions. Jonesboro has it. They're so explosive. They can run it. They can throw it. They're going to play at home too in this game too. So I'm going to take Jonesboro at home
Think
to
of
win this game.
Thinking Jonesboro. All right, Mount, the South Side comes off kind of sloppy performance, but get the win. Coach George over there at Jonesboro's got the Hurricanes back in the playoffs. They've looked pretty good, and they've played some good teams and played with them all year long. Talk to us about this one.
Jonesboro's been consistent all year long. Southside coming in at 6-4. A lot of up, a lot of down, a lot of up, a lot of down. It's like the temperature. It's like the temperature this weekend goes from 70 to 40 in a hurry. but I am going to go. This will be a fascinating game. 2 years ago, Southside went to Jonesboro and defeated them. So I'm going with the Mavericks of Southside.
Going with the Mavericks of Southside. Coach Cox, you know Southside real well. Jonesboro is, and Mouth just hit it. Southside's been a roller coaster a little bit. Jonesboro's been pretty consistent, played some tough teams.
Well, it kind of shocked me the way they played against Siloam Springs. I mean, because they were doing pretty well, but then they go up there to Siloam Springs, and it's just not a great outing for Southside. So I was a little bit concerned about that. Now watching the film on Jonesboro, they've got some talent. Mm-hmm. If Southside can get those receivers open, because they can do some things if they catch that ball. And against Greenwood, I tell you, the quarterback, those two receivers really, they had a great game, to be honest with you, especially the first half. Then Greenwood just went ahead and, that second half kind of dominated. But I tell you, after that Siloam Springs game, I was going to go with Southside for one reason, be able to, play Greenwood again in that second round. But I just think Jonesboro's got the edge on them this week.
Coach Cox is taking Jonesboro. I tell you what, I've been back and forth this, and like I said, Southside's been a roller coaster. Mal brought it up. They went over there 2 years ago and beat Jonesboro, but there's, Kobe Branham's not playing for them anymore, guys. and I'm throwing it out there. I like Jonesboro in this one as much as it kills my soul to pick against Southside. I think Jonesboro at home. And they're just playing better. Right now. But who knows? It's playoffs, and some people look bad week 10, and they get going, and you look up and they're in the finals. So I've seen it done before, but I'm gonna go with Jonesboro in this one. All right, heading up to 7A. Let's look at this bracket here. Bentonville gets the number one seed in the West, and it looks like a loaded 7A West like it used to be. Bryant gets through Conway last week. Bug James gave them all they wanted. And what I wanted to see was how they dealt with them up front. Did a great job, especially in the first half. Bryant wins by 7. That league's kind of been up and down a little bit. We headed for a collision course. Rogers also. One interesting matchup, I think, is a rematch from last year, Springdale at Cabot. Can Cabot slow Springdale down, and can Springdale slow Cabot down a little bit? Daryl, break this 7A bracket down.
Well, Bentonville, you look at your 1 and 2s, they've kind of separated themselves. But here's a funny thing. Fayetteville's a 4.
I know. And they're
Fayetteville
dangerous.
can score some points. Yes, they can score a ton of points. Bryant had trouble because, Coach James had a great plan. He screwed with the
Yes.
front, especially the whole first half. Kind of went unbalanced a lot, and man, got
Shifted
coach
in
believing in the
motion. Yeah.
procedures, and we're flipping ends all over the place. And I mean, they had a great game plan going into that game. Gave them some confusion there. I thought their quarterback played really well. Conway's did, but Bryant just showed you that their big play capability. And man, they can run the football too. When
Yes.
times get rough, they can just flat run it. So that's good. But I'm telling you that four spot that Fayetteville's in, they could scare some people. I mean, that game with Pulaski Academy is going to last about 7 hours probably, but but I mean, you're gonna be able to watch everybody else play, and then you catch
And that's a
that one.
matchup from last year too. PA and
Yeah. I
Fayetteville.
mean
A
that
lot of
that's
same
interesting.
matches.
It's getting your kids to understand you're trying to get a chance to play Bryant. I
Yeah.
mean that's the scary thing about those games. Cabot Springdale will be interesting. I think Cabot's
Yeah.
playing really good.
Won three in a row.
Yeah, they've gotten in a groove there, kind of figured out their identity a little bit. The quarterback's playing well. They can run the ball. They're big up front. Their secondary, I think they dropped like 9 people last week against North Little Rock a lot of times. So there's no telling in that game too. And then you got Christian and Harbor. Harbor's been able to score points. It's one of those that they just can't get 4 quarters put together there. You can tell the coach is flipping that. Christian's playing really well too. They got their quarterback hurt in the North Little Rock game, and they turned to a sophomore, and that he gives them a little chance to run it. And, the quarterback run comes into play there with them. And then they got a big horse back there, and Jackson Ward, who's a heck of a running back, and they're big up front. They got a right guard that's about 6'6", about 340.
Yeah.
They tend to run behind him. I don't know how many defensive coordinators can figure that out, but this old basketball coach can figure out they're running behind the big dude.
Big guy. Yeah.
The big guy is definitely the guy that they're running by. And then you got our Rogers team. You got Rogers and maybe Bryant running into each other there.
Man, I
That's
know.
a hell of a game right there. And then you got Bentonville, probably facing up with Conway there too. Bentonville West, though, Bentonville West could throw a kink in that stuff too with Conway. That'd be a heck of a matchup there too.
Mouth the 7A.
Well, it's fascinating.
Yeah.
And I agree with Coach Fimple there. Who in their right mind would want to face Fayetteville?
Yeah. We'll sign me up for that.
Come get you some is what the Purple Dogs say if they get through the. And then if I'm looking at the bracket right, they'll have to play. They'll play Rogers, right? Huh?
Well, it just depends. Yeah.
Yeah, could. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ryan could run into Rogers. Yeah.
Because Rogers has and who wants to get a piece of Jeff Regan? I mean,
Yeah, and you look at that game. That game was 1 point game.
Yeah. This is fascinating, and Coach Buck James just does Coach Buck James things, going 8-2 in a regular season when he loses his quarterback the first game, drives the bus to the game.
He just does it all. Buck does.
Buck does it all. He doesn't lose. He doesn't miss a beat. He's got the pulse on the transportation and the team. What more could you want?
Coach Cox, talk to us about this 7A. Bentonville's been dominant. Bryant's been dominant. Rogers, this 7A West has been just competitive, very good. Central's been dominated by Bryant and Conway.
Well, everybody knows Bryant, and I tell you what, the reason I went with Jonesboro against Southside is I watched video when Jonesboro played Conway.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if Conway shows up and plays like they played against Jonesboro, they're going to get beat. Even if they have a bye, they may get beat. But Conway playing Bryant 28-21, that's amazing. I mean, Buck had a chance to win, so you gotta think Conway's on the right path at the right time. Again, Bryant, now Fayetteville, Pulaski Academy, anytime, any place. I mean, if everything's going well with them, they can beat anybody, because they're just wide open stuff. And it's more important of what kind of Fayetteville team shows up. I know they've had some close games. Rogers is no surprise, though.
No.
As you know, and we've been around this Northwest Arkansas area, they have some tremendous junior high programs coming up, and now they're together. So that's not a surprise at all. Little Rock Christian, Harbor, I'll be honest with you, Harbor could surprise some people. The way they played against Greenwood early in the year, they were a very good football team. Now, again, you're playing Greenwood, and they're a dominant football team. So there are a lot of ifs, ands, and buts. You know what I'm saying? But it's going to be interesting. I would say Bentonville, Bryant for sure. They should get past the second round, and all the rest of them, I think, is up for grabs.
Yeah, no doubt. And I'm with you. I think Bentonville's performance and Bryant's performance, and then Conway Bucks should sit there, and he's in the mix now. And,
Yeah.
and Rogers, Bentonville West. Well, we've got one game here in the 7A, one of our top 10 games a week. We got Harbor, who just got beaten by Fayetteville this past week, headed over to Little Rock Christian. Very interesting matchup, Daryl. Can Harbor make the big upset, the 6 seed knocking off the 3? Be interesting. Harbor's been tested in this 7A West. It should be interesting.
Yeah, should be. You're right. Harbor, like you said, lost last week 48-27 to Fayetteville. They moved the ball the entire night. Bryce Owens, their quarterback, they got some weapons offensively. Defensively is the big thing. Is can their secondary hold up? Christian can run the football too. So, that's a big, huge advantage there. Of course, it's a home game too for Little Rock Christian. They beat PA last week 55-28, which is a big rival game here. Eli Robinson is the quarterback that's filling in for Keller, who hurt his shoulder this past a couple weeks ago. But he's given a new dimension to their offense. He can run the football, and he threw 3 touchdown passes last week too. Jackson Ward is kind of their bell cow at tailback. He had 16 carries and 176 yards at the half against PA last week. Yeah. And their defense is causing all kinds of turnovers. I think they had 3 interceptions last week against Pulaski Academy. I think Christian's really, like I said, sometimes you can find something maybe that you didn't want to do all year long, and that, putting the running quarterback in kind of gave them another dimension to their offense. So I'm going to take Little Rock Christian home in this one. Now, this one could be one of those high-scoring games too, but Christian can outscore them. I'm going to take Little Rock Christian at home.
All right, Mouth. Harbor headed down to Little Rock Christian. Harbor's been testing this tough 7A West. Little Rock Christian sitting at the 3rd seed. They took care of business also.
Fascinating game right here. Little Rock Christians has got their playing a second string, playing a backup quarterback. I really like Harbor. Harbor's probably a year away from really making noise next year in this 7A playoff. I'm gonna go with Little Rock Christian.
Mouth's going with Little Rock Christian. Coach Cox, you mentioned it. This Harbor bunch, interesting bunch. They're a young football team, only 13 seniors going on the road, but they're getting got in. Coach Danhauer's doing a great job. Little Rock Christian's earned their spot in the 7A Central.
Well, on film, Christian looks well coached. They're big. They make some good plays. Again, I can't help but think if Harbor can play defense like they played against Greenwood, I mean, they've got a chance. If they can't, they won't have a chance in the world, because Little Rock Christian can score at any time. But again, I'm kind of going with my heart, so I'm going to go with Harbor.
Going with Harbor. Coach Cox going Harbor. I tell you what, this is an interesting matchup because this is one of those games I'm ready to see the crossover in the conferences, how tough the conference were.
Yeah.
And we've kind of, we mentioned the 7A West. It looks like just watching on film and this and that it's been very tough. Harbor's been tested, had a few injuries here or there. If they can control the football, which Coach Danhauer done was at Bentonville, knows how to take the air out of it a little bit, they got to be able, but you're going to be able to score and finish drives. I'm going to go with Harbor on the upset here. I think they've been tested. They're ready to go. It's a new life. It's a new season. And Little Rock Christian is going to be a tough matchup. If the score is in the 30s, I like Harbor. If it's in the 40s, I like Little Rock Christian. But I'm going to go with Harbor. I think they can keep it down there by running the ball and taking care of the football. I'm going with Harbor. All right, guys, we do this every year. Last game, we got the Battle of the Ravine. Me as the old Henderson State ready. I know Coach Cox is a Washington man, and it's obviously that the Mouth is also that ugly sweatshirt he's got on. It's unbelievable. Daryl, break this one down. We got Henderson State. We're not playing for conference championships or anything, but both of them, we got game day possible coming. We got all kinds of things going on, man.
Wouldn't that be phenomenal? Both teams are 7-3.
Yes.
They're in a 4-way tie for second, by the way.
I know.
You got to get in the top 8 in the region to get to the national tournament. They actually do it the right way. Like Coach Leach said, they actually play like each other. It's crazy how that happens. OBU beat Southwest Oklahoma State last week, 42-38. Jordan Walker, the Bryant legend there, threw a 51-yard touchdown with 1:14 left to win that game. Chris Henley had 3 touchdowns. Trey Nichols had 150 yards and a touchdown in that game. You can throw all these stats out because it's a rival, baby.
Yeah, man.
We're talking about field. How was the walkover? Just describe the walkover there. Huh?
I was kind of a transition period there when I was there. Like we moved to Division II, so I only got to play them my freshman year. But we played at Washita and we got to walk over. Me, a guy was a phenomenal athlete that I got a little tired on the walk over there. I get some water in me.
Somebody had to carry your helmet.
I didn't know we walked.
That's terrible.
I could look for the bus. Trying to keep
why are we doing this? Why are we doing this?
So walked over. We got the win. We didn't play real good. I remember Ronnie Kerr coming in. There's people that watch this show. Remember that meeting after we didn't play real well. It was not pretty on that Monday in that meeting, but we got the victory. But unbelievable atmosphere. You walk over there and it's packed, and it's even bigger now. I mean, obviously, it's even bigger.
Right. Henderson State beat East Central Oklahoma last week, 45-35. Andrew Edwards is their guy. He had 4 touchdowns. He had almost 306 yards total offense, 4 touchdowns, 2 through the air, 2 on the ground. Caden Davis, Andrews Griffin are their big play weapons here. Coach Hansworth has done a great job over there. He's got those guys right in the mix and everything. They're both, like I said, they're both 7-3, both mirror images of each other. OBU, Coach Knight is a Hall of Fame coach, by the way.
Yes, he is.
You know what Hall of Fame coaches do? You know how you get in the Hall of Fame, Jeff? Let me tell you how you get in the Hall. You win, baby. You win. You win right there. You'll win. You'll win. Yeah. That's how you get in the Hall of Fame. I'm taking Coach Knight in this one. Like I said, we got some playoff implications here. My daughter's signing with Washita Wednesday. So, hey, we're going Tigers, baby. Hold the Tigers. Tiger by the tail.
Nothing to do. Your daughter's signing with Washita this week.
Nothing. Zero. Free education. None of that. None of that involves either.
All right, Mouth. We already know. Exactly. Mouth, we already know your pick, obviously, with that shirt on, but break it down for us and your thoughts.
Well, I'm going to tell you like this. What a turnaround by Washita. They started out the season 1-3, and they've run off six in a row right now. Coach Shockley's a pleasure to talk to on the phone nowadays. First 5 weeks, he wasn't so good. I'm just going to tell you. It was depressing. I said, please don't call if you're going to sound like you're dying. But Coach Knight's done a phenomenal job this year. Phenomenal Hall of Fame coach. Been there, gosh, I'm close to 30 years.
Yeah.
30 years. And I just see and this is one, for people that's never been, this is one of the greatest rivalries in the country. Right across the street, and it is fantastic. The Mouth is going to leave at 7 o'clock Saturday morning to make sure he gets there in plenty of time to get a parking spot. Coach Shockley assured me the orange cones would be out. have a spot in my handicap spot.
Well, you're going with Washita. Coach Cox, you're a former Tiger, so I kind of figure I know where this is going also. So I feel like the lone wolf.
Well, I also have to remind you that it was 50 years ago that the game of the century was played.
Yeah.
And Washita beat Henderson by 1. And now we had an old offensive guard. You can relate to this. We had an old offensive guard that did our extra points, and he had to change shoes, little flat-toed shoes.
Yeah.
He had to change shoes, and he made his, but that All-American kicker that Henderson had, he missed one. So hallelujah, We beat them. I think it was 21-20. And we had a 4th and 25. And Bill Vining threw it to Gary Reese, and we got that first down by 3 or 4 inches. You know, my wife tells me I can remember all these football things, but I can't remember anything else. But anyhow, hey, they've got identical records. Arkansas Tech beat both of them. So Arkansas Tech must be, getting better, because those two programs have been good for years and years. So it's like the mouth explained it. You don't really understand unless you've been there. You understand it. You've been there. But that town will close down, and probably half of Southern Arkansas will be closed down because they'll be there supporting the teams. And I've got old Redbugs that play on Henderson side. So, I got a heart for those Redbugs. But as far as, and I was the graduate assistant in baseball at Henderson, after I graduated. So I've got some ties there at Henderson, got my master's there. But gosh, I got to be rooting for those Tigers all the way.
Well, everybody went with the Tigers. I'm going with the Reddies, obviously, because I know what team's going to win, dominant performance, and the way we have been all year. But, no, I think it's a phenomenal game. And like you just mentioned, shut down South Florida. There's people come from all over the place in that deal.
Yeah.
I mean, it almost quadruples the population in Arkadelphia. It's the place to be in Arkansas. There's no doubt about it. I'm going with the Reddies. I think we're going to get it done. It should be a phenomenal ball game. And, just when it gets down to it, we got to go over there and we know what to do. We know how to win. So we're going over there to take care of business. Well, guys, I appreciate you guys coming on. Before I get off here, let me thank our sponsors one more time. This Coaches Pod Network is powered by Lindsey Associates. Our Player of the Week is sponsored by C.R. Crawford Construction, Monetary Link, Sports Clips, Pigs Brand. We are the official podcast of the ARFCA, Hootens. And make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Well, for Coach Jeff Williams, Coach Daryl Fimple, the mouth print bender, and our guest speaker, Jim Cox, we'll see you next time.